what the final product should look like. We should have a player that can move along the x-axis. We should have six aliens that spawn randomly along our plane. And if you get a score of 6, which means if you kill all the aliens, then you win the game. I'll show you an instance of how we can lose, right? We should note that our player doesn't move outside of the screen, right? And you can press the right or left key once, and your player will keep on moving. And once an alien reaches the vertical level of your spaceship, that means that you've been invaded and you have lost.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the coding tier. Today we're gonna show you how to make a Space Invaders game using Python and Pygame. Should be fun, so let's get to it. Okay, so now that we want to get started with this project, the first thing we need to do is really just take a look at what we're going to need for this project, right? We're going to need VS Code, we're going to need Python, and we're going to need Pygame because this is a Pygame project, right? If you followed our previous tutorial, you should have Python and VS Code installed and ready to go, right? So what's left is to install Pygame. Now, the process is pretty simple. We can just open CMD and pip. And okay, so let's first check our Python version just to be sure, right? Yeah, already, yeah, there it is. So it's 3.12.3, okay? I'm gonna exit out of that because, yeah. Now, we wanna check our pip version, right? Pip is what helps us install any Python packages onto our computer, right? So pip, that should give me the version. Oh wait, I think it's pip version. Let me just look at the docs. Pip version. Oh, it's capital V. So, okay. So what that tells you is that with your Python, you do have pip installed. Okay. So now we're ready. We're ready to go. So we can just do pip install Pygame. And that should, yep, there we go. Yeah, so there we have it. Pygame has been successfully installed. So quickly, I'd just like to go over what I'd hope you'd take away from this video. So first of all, because we're going to be coding in Python, I hope that you guys are able to get more experience in Python and become more fluent with it, right? We're going to be using if and else statements, so that is conditional statements. We are going to be using for loops, which is iteration, and while loops. So hopefully you guys can get familiar with the usage of those. And we'll also be making a Python graphical user interface, so it'll be fun to see, and hopefully this project makes you more passionate about programming and inspires you to learn more. Okay, so we want to get started with just getting all the assets that we're going to need for this project, right? So what are we going to need? We're going to need a spaceship, we're going to need an alien, we're going to need bullets to shoot, and a cool background, right? I think that's it for now. So let's get to it. I found this pretty nice site called Flat Icons where you can get download PNGs of a size of your choosing, right? And so what I basically did is I just searched up aliens on their search bar, and these are all the results I got, right? I like these. They're pretty cute. But I think I'm gonna go with this, right? This is basically what I'm looking for, an alien in a spaceship. Yeah, you could go for any of them. Really, your game is just gonna look different. I don't think you should have any programming errors because of them, right? But yeah. So I'm going to download a PNG. Free download, I guess. Yeah, So I think I was able to download that. But okay, yeah. See, so that was way too big. You want to make I want a 32 by 32. So of course we can always just change this, right? If I start making the game and find out that, oh wait, 32 by 32 is way too small, or it's still too big, then I can just come and download another one again. But really, I'm just trying to show you guys the source. Okay, so I'm just gonna download this. Yep, that's this is 16 by 16. So I just want to, I'll just show in folder, and I'll just rename it, right? Oh, where do you go? Yep. Info 16 by 16. Or sorry, 32 by 32. 32 by 32. Right? That is what I'm trying to use. Okay. Then we want a spaceship, right? Once again, really for this one, I think we want to choose one that's like pointing upwards, because that's where the aliens are gonna come from. If it's one of these that's pointing sideways, like, you know, how is that gonna look moving horizontally like that, right? That doesn't make sense. So I pick this. This looks pretty sick. This looks pretty cool too. But yeah. Oh wait, no, this is great. This is great. Yeah, I'm gonna use this. Yeah. I think I'll make this 64 by 64 because the aliens are 32. Yeah. Yeah. Did I change the size? I did not change the size. No, I'll keep it 32. I think they should be the same size. Yeah, it's all just preference, really, you know. But yeah, and then again, because I made that mistake, I'm going to have to go in. Oh wait, more. Cut this out, right? But yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to delete this, rename this to spaceship, right? And delete that and rename it to okay, that is that. And now, as we've said, our spaceship is gonna shoot cool bullets. Okay, so we want to download bullets now. Now really, okay, the choice of bullets, oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I'm gonna use this one. You could also use this, but this one looks so cool. Right, this one. Okay, so now because my spaceship is 32 by 32, I need this to be smaller than that. So I'm thinking I'll make it a 16 by 16. Then again, if I feel that, oh wait, 32 by 32 is too small, I think it's going to end up being too small. But yeah, then I'll just download a larger size, right? Not a big deal. Just trying to show you the source. Did I swear I changed it. Yeah, I did change it. Okay. Yeah, bullet is 1 kilobyte. Makes sense. Oh wow, that's small. Oh, I'm definitely gonna need to download a larger one. Okay, I'll just do that right now for all of them. So okay, yeah, I think like 64 maybe like a 120. No, 64. 120 is an overshoot by a big margin. So I'll make it 64. Download. Right. UFO. Open. Delete. Rename. UFO. Done. Then we'll go and download 64 by 64 spaceship. Bam. Done. That is saved as spaceship. And then I can download a 32 or a 24. I'll go for a 32 right now. A 32 by 32 bullet. Right. Yeah, so there we have that. And now really what we want to do is just download a final background, right? Now I've just gone to any random website for this. And I think I'm just gonna download any one of these backgrounds. I just searched up space game background, something like that. You know what? This matches the vibe. So let's see. Should be good. I will have to rename that to Space Invader background. Space Invader background. There we go. And I'm just gonna move these to so what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go to my folder and I'm gonna create a folder in there called assets. Okay, and that's where I'm going to save the background and all the sprites that I have just downloaded right now. So let's go to the coding tutors. Yep. Yeah. And I'm going to create a new folder called Space Invaders. We're going to enter it, and I'm going to create a new folder called Assets. Okay, and this folder is going to be storing all my sprites and the background. Let's go to this. Hello. Okay, no, I will just Control X. Code. Spare me. There's probably a better way to do this, but whatever. You like this. Yay! Okay, so now what we've done is we have the background, all the sprites, and we're actually ready to get started with the code. Okay, so now that we have Pygame installed, we have our assets downloaded, and you also have a rough idea of what Space Invaders is about, I think we can get started coding, right? So as you can see right here, I've just kept this error up because I think there's a good chance that some of you might run into this, right? Currently, an error that I'm getting is right here, that Pygame could not be resolved, right? But then when I try to install Pygame again, it says that the requirement is actually already met, right? So why is that? But then when I look at the path of where Pygame is installed, it's installed in the Python 3.12 folder, right? But over here, right here in the bottom right corner of my VS Code, I can see that I'm still using Python 3.11, right? So simply, I think what could fix this is just clicking on this, and then we can select the version of Python that we want, which is 3.12, right? 3.12. So we'll just use that. Really, the path of both these are the same, so I think we can just, yeah, so we'll just click on that. And there we go. See, So the error has been mitigated and we are ready to go. Okay, so we imported Python. The other thing that, if you remember from the game discussion, that is that we wanted our aliens to move randomly, right? And whenever you want to implement something randomly, then that requires the use of the random library. So we will just import that. Okay. And now, for now, I think we'll be good. But of course, like if something pops up, then, you know, we'll go back to, but yeah. So now let's get started by just initiating Pygame, right? And just setting up our window and getting a structure for the game ready, right? So Pygame requires that we start off with Pygame init, right? And then we wanted, as I said, because we're the developers, we get to decide the size of our window, right? The window that our game is going to be in. And how we do this? Well, for that, we can initialize a variable screen and use pygame.display.set_mode, right here. And now inside this, we can use a tuple and define the size of the screen that we want. Well, really, we could use a square or a rectangle. I'm just going to test out a size 800 by 600, and we will just see what that gets us to, right? And then, you know, if you want to change it because, you know, you have a bigger screen or something like that, then go for it, right? The other thing that we want to do is, as we know, each window has a title, right? We can see that, you know, this has a title, new private tab. So even our game window should have a title. Now, how do we set that, right? Then for that, we can just do pygame display dot, I think it's right here, set caption, right? There we go, right? So that gives you a title. Okay, sorry, set caption. And in set caption, it takes in a string, so we'll just say Space Invaders, right? And we'll just leave it at that right now. Then the other thing that we want is to set a background image, right? That's what we downloaded one of the images for. So we will just do background is equal to, and that is pygame.image.load, right? Because we're just loading an image right now. And for this, what you want to do is you want to go into your folder, you want to go into your assets folder, and I think just the copy relative path should work, right? And we'll just copy the relative path right into here, right? So Space Invaders, assets, and Space Invader background. Okay. And we'll get to test it out and see if all this has actually worked out in a few moments, right? Just bear with me. Let's just get done with the prep, right? We want an icon for our window, just like we have the VS Code icon right here. We want an icon too, right? And for that, because I haven't downloaded a separate sprite, you could just download a separate sprite, but I'm just going to use the UFO. But yeah, let's just do, and so this is standard syntax. Whenever we want to load an image into Pygame, we use pygame.image.load, right? And I am just going to use copy relative path right there. Okay, there we go. And what else? And yeah. And then, so now what that did was it loaded the image into the icon variable, right? But we haven't actually set it yet. So we want to do pygame.display.icon, I think. Set icon, yeah. Set icon. And then we can just set that to icon. And that should be good. So, yeah. And now, yeah, we have the background, we have our window size, we have window caption and window icon. So now I think before we actually get started with going through the game, we will actually just initialize our game while loop, right? Now, as we know, the game runs continuously, right? It runs forever and ever until we meet one of the 3 conditions that we've set for it. So, what do we know that we can use for an uncounted number of iterations, right? We don't exactly know how many iterations it's going to take for the game to lose, right? Or for the game to finish. We just want to keep on iterating till one of the 3 conditions are met, okay? For that, we use a while loop. So what we can do is just while this, right? We'll keep it at that right now. And then okay, wait, sorry, I should do while true. Right, for now, we'll do while true, right? So that's just going to be running infinitely. And while that happens, what we want to do is we actually want to set the background, right? Because we have a background image. So for that, we should do screen.fill. First, we want to actually, fill it in. And then on that screen, we can do screen.blit. Screen.blit background. And where is it going to start from? So yeah. So screen.blit is to showcase an image onto your window, right? And so first we have the first argument is the image, and the second argument is a tuple of the coordinates, right? As you can see right here, VS Code is really helpful this way, right? It's the coordinates in rect value, right? So, and we want it to start at 0, 0, right? And now this is where this key part comes in. Once you load anything onto your window, you need to update the Pygame display, right? And for that, you have to use pygame.display.update, right? And with that, I think now we should be good. Right, there we go. So you can see that we have an icon, we have our game name, we have the background image of our choice, and as you can see, this is probably like really cropped in. Well, that's because we didn't really pick an image according to the size of our window, right? But if you really want the whole image to fit inside, what you can just do is resize the image. And now, so that's why I'll just close this window, close the program. Yeah, and so that's why I changed this 900-600, because I resized the image so that it shows up properly inside the window. Right here, you can see that. And the closest I could get to 800-600 was 900-600, so we will be using that, right? So I'm just gonna switch this up with Space Invader background resized. And you can just do this really easily with your Windows image editor, right? No need to, be intimidated. And now if you run that, there we go. We have the whole image inside our window, right? And so with that, we have our Pygame window set up, and we'll move on to get started with the logic. Okay, so now I just want to start off by explaining what the game Space Invaders really is to you guys, right? So hopefully this can give you a better idea of how we're going to be designing the game logic, what the steps we're going to be going through are, and people that have coded before, hopefully after this discussion you can actually get started with thinking about the logic inside your head and how we're going to be implementing it, right? So yeah, our game Space Invaders is going to live inside a rectangle box, okay? And this rectangle box, because we're the game developers, is within our control, right? We actually get to decide the size of it. It could be a square, right? X and Y could be equal, or a rectangle, something like 900 by 600 or 800 by 600, something like that, right? But yeah, so the unique thing about Python is, about Pygame, is that usually we've seen that a Cartesian plane usually looks something like this, right? This is 0, and this is in positive infinity, and this is positive infinity along the y, right? And this is x. But in Pygame, in your window, 0 is actually the top left corner, right? And so that's going to help you when we are trying to place images into our window, okay? But yeah, so that's something to keep in mind for now, and then hopefully when we're actually designing the game, you can recall this, and that can help you make sense of what we're doing then. Basically, in this game, you could have a random amount of enemies, but right now, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to be having 6 enemies and 1 spaceship, which is us, right? Our spaceship can shoot bullets. The goal is to kill all the enemies and stop them from either coming in contact with us or coming down to the same vertical level as us, right? We don't want that to happen. If that happens, then we lose. But if we manage to kill all of these aliens before they come down to our level or come in contact with us, then we've won, right? We are going to have a score counter right here somewhere in the top right corner, and that's going to be helping the user to be aware of how many aliens they've killed, right? And that's just a game mechanic, right? Games usually have scores, so we're going to be implementing a score. The aliens can be initialized randomly at any vertical level, right? So an alien could be initialized somewhere down here, or somewhere way up here, or somewhere right here, right? It can be initialized anywhere, but after it's initialized at any random position, it's only going to move downwards, right? We can make it so that that each alien has a random speed, or we can make it so that all the aliens come down at the same speed, right? That's up to us as developers. The player, on the other hand, can move left and right. There's no vertical movement for the spaceship, right? And we can make it so that on pressing a key, our gun can fire a bullet, right? So an alien dies when they come in contact with a bullet, right? That's pretty much common sense. Let's move over here and just clarify and make sure that we're aware of when the game is over. The game is over when you kill all of the aliens, which means that the score is equal to 6, right? If you remember it like this, then that's going to really help us create our conditional statements when we're actually programming, right? The game is over if one alien reaches the spaceship, comes in contact with the spaceship. And when does contact happen in Pygame? Contact in Pygame happens when the coordinates of the two objects are the same. So XY ship and XY alien I are the same, right? And we can also lose if one alien reaches the vertical level of our spaceship, right? So in that case, we just want to check Y ship and Y alien I. If they're equal, then we've lost, unfortunately. So we have 2 ways we can lose and 1 way we can win, right? That makes the game a bit challenging. We've covered the spaceship only moves along the x-axis, the spaceship shoots bullets, right? We have to set a key upon which the spaceship will shoot bullets, right? We can decide the speed of the key, and once again, contact. The alien dies when it comes in contact with a bullet, and contact in Pygame happens when the coordinates are the same. So the alien will die if the xy of the bullet is equal to the xy of the alien, right? And the aliens, as I said, they spawn randomly, but they move down. But yeah, they only move downwards, right? And we can either keep it so that all of them have the same speed, or we could make it so that each alien has a different random speed, right? That is up to us. But that is about it. That is Space Invaders for you. Hopefully this gave you a good idea of how Space Invaders works, and it'll probably help you when we start coding.